Now today, dear sewing friends, let's channel our inner Retro Diva. Now that's right, this design is perfect for summer with this really cool sleeve and a very simple construction. Seriously, super simple, and you will see that in just a few moments. As always, if I can do it, then you can do it as well, and you will need less than 1 yard of stretch knit fabric. So bonus points for that. And of course, make it in soft pastel colors for a romantic look, or extend it to make it into a dress, or turn it into a swimsuit. The stage is all yours with this design. So let's get started. For the first measurement, we will need the length from the nape of your neck all the way to your waist. Now, to take this measurement more accurately, you can tie a ribbon or a string of yarn around your waist and then measure. Now, put this measurement on your pattern paper, and as always, we are starting with the back part of the pattern. Now, if you really simplify this top for better understanding, it is just 4 rectangles, but of course, to make it fit like a glove, we have to do some shaping. Now go ahead and divide this part in half, and now we will need to take 1/4 of your bust and your waist measurement. Now take your measuring tape, place it around your waist like so, and write it down. You will do the same around the fullest part of your bust and write it down as well. Now, if you are a member of this channel, then you do have the instruction sheets available to use for it. If you want to know more about memberships, there will be a link about it in the info box below. Now, at this mark, we will draw a straight line with 1/4 of your waist measurement. And on this line, 1/4 of your bust measurement, but I am taking minus ½ an inch to account for negative ease. Now, negative ease is used in knits for a snug fit. Think of it as ice skating costumes and leggings. They're often made with negative ease. Now, you can always cut away. If you're not sure, you can use your normal 1/4 measurement and pinch in the negative ease when you try on your bodice. Now go ahead and divide this top part in 3. So here I'm marking 1/3 of it and drawing a straight line, which is the same length as my bust measurement. Now if you want to go for a crop top, for example, then leave everything as is. But if you want a full-length top, like in my case, then extend the bottom of it for your desired length. Now I will take about 3 inches down, and for the width of it, measure that part of your body and use 1/4 of it just like we did for your bust and your waist. Now go ahead and connect all points to create a side seam. And of course, this is just a little too choppy here, and we can't really leave it like this. So curve it in, and note that around the waistline, I am not curving it in all the way because I do find that it looks better this way. Now this back pattern piece will be cut on the fold, and a quick tip here. If you have made a knit bodice block with me or created a t-shirt pattern with me, links for both of these will be in the info box below for you, then use those as a base to create this top, so that way you don't have to start from scratch, and you will find that the bust and the waistlines are matching, and that using a pattern block always saves your time. So bonus points for you if you have done those tutorials with me. Now watch, for the front part of the top, real easy. Just go ahead and copy everything that you have on the back pattern piece. Once done, raise the top part by about 2 inches. Now find the middle of the bust line and draw the new line for the top till this midpoint, and then bring it down all the way to the side seam. Now let's smooth these angles as well, and we are done with the front part. It is also cut on the fold. Now the sleeves, which is my favorite part of this top. I truly think that they're really fun. So I'm drafting 2 rectangles. One is 8 by 8 and the other one is 8 by 9 inches. Now you will see in a few moments that I will be cutting away some fabric to fit my sleeves. So this sleeve size should fit majority of people around my size. But of course, to be sure, you can place your measuring tape like so, preferably once you already have the bodice of your top on you, and measure from one side to another side across your shoulder. Now do add a few inches to it so you can shape the sleeve, and note that the back sleeve will be longer as the bodice is shorter. Alrighty, it is time to cut your fabric. Now here I'm using a polyester knit, which was a gift from my sewing friend. It actually has a really interesting texture to it, almost like a 3D wave texture, and I just love the print. It's really fun. Now as you cut your fabric, please don't forget to add seam allowances and necessary length for the hem, as I draft my patterns without them. When cutting knits, also pay attention to the direction of the stretch. And how do you feel about stripes? Is it a yay or nay for you? Do let me know about that in the comments below. Pattern pieces are cut out, so let's get to it. Place the front and the back pattern pieces right sides together and sew them. Now, if you're not sure about negative ease, baste them first, then try them on. Pinch in the excess fabric, then cut it away and then sew the side seam, so that way you are getting the best fit possible. Now, once that is done, grab your sleeves. With hand sewing needle, gather the front and the back part of the sleeves like this. Now I'm gathering mine to be a bit wider than 3 inches. It is just temporary, just for us to try it on. Then fold the front of your bodice in half, and then in half again, and mark those placements. Now these will be the middle points of attaching your sleeves, and you will repeat the same thing for the back of the top as well. Now, baste the sleeve and the top together. So here's the thing, the center of each sleeve will align with these points. Once you have basted the sleeve, just one side is good for this. You don't have to do 2 sleeves. Put it on yourself, and now you need to pin it together like so. So that way the sleeve can mimic the curve of your shoulder, which will ensure a great fit for your top. Once you have pinned it together, take a heat erasable pen or a piece of chalk and mark just above your pin needles. And this is just to account for the seam allowance, and then cut the extra off. Now you can lay these pattern pieces on top of your other sleeve pieces and use them as templates to cut the extra off. Now place the sleeves right sides together and sew the curved shoulder line. As I mentioned, my fabric is really bumpy, so I did top stitching here with a straight stretch seam. Now, if you're working with more regular medium weight knit, you can just press the seam and that should do the trick. Now, let's finish the sides of the sleeves. Here, I'm folding the edges twice and using the same stretch straight stitch to finish the seams. As an alternative, you can use zigzag, you can use lightning stitch, or you can do it by hand. Another thing is, if your fabric allows you and it looks great if you leave the edges raw, you can also do that. The choice is all yours. Now repeat this step on both sides of the sleeve. And once done, do the basting stitch on a sewing machine on both ends of the sleeve, so that way we can gather them, and this is going to be our next step. Now gather the sleeves and attach them to the top just like we did when we were basting them, and baste them again so that way they stay put. So here is an interesting part. I really thought that I could do just a regular folded hem on top, just like we did on the sleeves. But as I mentioned, my fabric is so bumpy, it just would not work. So I took some time to problem solve and decided to do a facing. And I know it sounds a little unusual for knits, but hey, it worked. So what I did, I took the front and back pattern pieces and copied these top parts to create the facing. And then, just like on the actual top, I sewed the side seams of the facing and then right sides together with the actual top. And making sure that the sleeves remain on the inside of the top. I pinned the facing to the top and then sewed it all together. Once it was done, my fabric still did not want to conform, so I understitched it with a straight stretch seam. I know you don't really see that often on the knits either, and I usually do a stitch on the top layer, but I did not want any lines going across the top. And you know what, again, it worked. The top hem did straighten out. So for your own top, you can just fold the edge like we did for the sleeves, or you can also do the facing, but instead of understitching like I did, you can do top stitching. And after that, all I had left was to secure the facing and the hem, both of which I did by hand. And if you've never tried hand stitching on a garment, don't be afraid. It is one of the neatest, most invisible ways to finish a hem or any other little details, and it works like a charm. And fear not, it is actually really durable. Of course, you don't have to do it by hand, just use a technique of your choice or the one that you're most comfortable with. And for the final touch, once again, grab a hand sewing needle and lightly gather the front to create that sweetheart neckline. And I go between the layers of gathers, so that way on the front of the top, you really can't see any stitching at all, and it gives a great clean result. Now, do it a couple of times to really ensure that the stitches really hold together, and that's it. Your top is done. I think it came out super fun and super easy and so customizable. As I said, you know, pair it with a skirt, with jeans, make it into a dress. The creativity is all yours, and I truly hope that you enjoyed this tutorial and that you will make one for yourself as well. And here's another sewing tutorial for you to explore. Have fun, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!